We're live. Good evening, everybody. It is Wednesday evening. Welcome back to my regular compatriots, Daryl, Northern Vinyl Guy, and Racer Joe from On a Vinyl, and recurring guest, and our favorite East Coaster, Curtis from Young LP Lovers. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good day.
I need to get the official thing out of the way first here. Yes, at the end of the first, it is still 1-0 for the Montreal Canadiens. Are you a Habs fan, Curtis?
I'm loosely a Habs fan.
That's fine. We'll take it.
I grew up as a Habs fan. I can't say I follow very closely these days, but
there you go.
I'm still a Habs fan at heart.
There, but that's that. When it's in you, it never leaves, right?
Right.
Daryl, I think, fell and hit his head on some permafrost up there or something because he's a Leafs fan and Joe doesn't give a shit. So.
Well, yeah, that's mostly true. If we talked a little beforehand, if I had to pick a team, it would be the Flames. So the Oilers will kick the shit out of them this year, and that will be the Battle of Alberta. We'll just go to Edmonton.
I'm just going to say this because it's going to piss off anybody that's not a Leaf fan anyway. This is our year, man. We're going to win it this year.
For God's sakes. Plan the parade. That's what every Leaf fan does on the first day of the year. Jesus.
Yeah.
Right off the top, Record Hound. Good evening, gentlemen. Guessing from the title, this stream could turn into the morning show. Absolutely not. We are talking about songs that are politically inspired, but there will be no politics in this conversation. I do not allow that. I will not let this degenerate into that other circus fiasco that I refuse to have any affiliation with. If that's your thing, cool. I have nothing to do with it and don't want anything to do with it. So we are talking politically inspired songs today, but there will be no discussion and no banter about politics. Let's see how we juggle that. But I know I have faith in my guests that we're going to get there. So, Music Sanctuary, good evening. Oilers have it this year, boys. Not according to Daryl. The Leafs are going to win it like they have every year for the last 50 years. So,
if I have a second team, it'll be the Oilers, though.
I could get behind that. Not a problem. At this point in time, I don't care. I would just love a Canadian team to win it, for God's sakes.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Which is funny because the Americans go, Canada doesn't want to cut. 3/4 of every cup-winning team in the U.S. are all Canadians anyway. So,
I did start to follow a little bit the Golden Knights when they moved to Vegas, and I did go to a game last year. So if I had a second team, it'd probably be and there's a bunch of guys. Again, there's a bunch of Canadians, so we always discuss Canadian teams and we want them to be in for sure. But then there's always the reminder of how many Canadians are actually on all those other teams as well. And now there's also Utah to cheer for.
Yes.
Still. Yeah.
The Utah hockey team.
And Eberle is now the captain of the Kraken, and he's from Regina. He played for the Pats. He's from Regina. And Connor something Bedard, I think, is it? I'm not positive. Was here, before he moved up. This is where he played as junior. So I did get a chance to see him, and I've seen some good hockey, and I don't hate it. I just don't get to it a lot. More of a football guy, and a baseball guy, and a racing guy, and a little bit of hockey. So
sure.
Not that anybody asked, but that's where we're at. So.
To quote the old famous Montreal Leafs fans, there's always next year. Yeah. As Daryl and I were talking before we came on, I am not a trash talking Habs fan. I've been a Habs fan since I was a kid. Love my Habs, but I won't trash talk the Leafs. Don't like the Leafs. Wouldn't go to a game if you pay.
Hey, you've witnessed 2 more Stanley Cups than I have in my lifetime, so
that's true. That's true. And that's probably going to be it for either of us, to be quite honest. So, this is like the first time I haven't had a Jays hat on, but after the heartbreak that was not even the Jays wasn't heartbreak. It was just like sheer disappointment from like April onwards. I'm just hoping for a nice warm hug from these guys. So, whatever that ends up being. So, it is what it is. As a kind of a reunion, all of us who are on the Canadians talking about Canadian music, I posted that on Sunday. Don't know if you guys got a chance, but that was a very fun episode, and thank you guys for doing that with me. I don't know if you can remember back I certainly couldn't. I had to rewatch part of it. But episode 2 from a month ago is going to be up next week on the Violent Community Podcast.
Cool.
So Chance reached out to me and said, any chance you want to throw one of your Canadian discussions on the podcast? And I said, does anyone beyond us give a shit? He goes, it gets the same amount of downloads as everything else does. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, that's good.
So I said, I can give you episode 4. I said, but it's like an hour and a half. He goes, give me any episodes. I said, all right, well, we'll do 2 next. If you need another one down the road, we'll throw number 3 up there. So we'll have a Canadians talking Canadian music podcast episode next week. As soon as I get off my lazy ass and rip the audio and send it down to Concert Buddy. So
Perfect. I saw he made it to Dylan's place for the 5th anniversary. He
did.
I thought I saw a picture of him holding a couple of albums. I was pretty sure it was him. Then I saw his video about him talking about it as well. So
There's a few pictures where you see him in the background. I don't know if you noticed what shirt he was wearing or not.
I did not notice that part. Was he wearing one of those?
He was wearing a shirt that had this on the front of it.
And then I think in the video he showed what he bought, and I think they had sleeves on them. I don't know where
he got them. I wonder where he can get good sleeves from. You have any idea, Joe?
Yeah, Vinyl Storage Solutions, and there's a
really?
promo code. I think there's a promo code. Yeah,
I think there is. Northern 10 if you want good record sleeves. So
there you go.
Look, thank you, by the way, to everybody that actually buys that and uses my code, because even though my commission is literally cents on every order, I've made more in the commissions off of that than I do being monetized on YouTube, which is insane. So all that to say that it only adds up to 3 digits anyway. So it's very tiny, but if it means the last order of record sleeves I bought, I didn't have to pay for, then, hey, there we go.
And I think everybody that's watching, at least in the comments, we joke around about it, but it is all true. And in the bottom line is it's good stuff. Like,
it is good stuff.
We do joke about it, but it is good stuff, and you should go and you should buy from them as well. Especially if you're a good old Canadian kid. Speaking of Canadians, right? Because it's all done out of here. Well, not here, but anyway. So yeah, we joke about it, but it is good stuff.
And they're doing flat rate, and they're not paying me to say this, by the way. I only get paid if you buy something using my code. They are doing a flat rate $5 shipping anywhere in North America this month, which is kind of cool. So, which is great. I like them not because they're Canadian and not because I'm one of their brand affiliates. I like them because they got a lot of cool shit that nobody else does, right? I got some of those, like those MoFi style sleeves, but for 10-inch records. You don't see those anywhere else. They've got great box set sleeves, which I'm going to do a video on because I just bought some. I bought them to put some on my box sets in, and they've just launched some new sizes for box sets. Some go up to like 55 millimeters. So they got some cool shit. That's what I like about it that you're not going to get anywhere else. So
yeah, exactly.
Let's see here. Music Sanctuary. It was interesting watching Utah's first game against the Blackhawks last night. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't see any of it either.
I just can't understand how they can't come up with a name. Like, I know it's a big deal, but shit, you've had some time. Utah Hockey Club or whatever the hell they're called. That's stupid.
Yeah, you'd think you'd want to be. All over the merchandise for this season as quickly as you could be, because I don't imagine. But maybe they want people to buy a bunch of Utah Hockey Club shit for now, and then buy the real stuff later.
That may very well be it. May very well be it. Glenn, good evening. Speaking of the Violent Community Podcast, they're the loudest podcast. You got to talk to Chance about that, man. I just send him the audio file, and he does whatever he does with it. So I don't listen to any podcasts, so I don't have a frame of reference. I don't even listen to my own episodes, to be quite honest. I listen to them when we record them, but then I don't listen to them back because I don't want to hear myself talk after I do this, because who does? I'm surprised you guys want to listen to me talk. So thank you for those of you that do. Anyone on the panel interested in the Rhino Doors box set coming out next month? Not me, but what about you guys?
I think Rhino has been doing some really, really good stuff as of late. I have a little, not a lot. I'm not a Doors fan. I'm not a Doors fan. So it's not that it's Rhino. It's not that it's a box set. Like I said, I'm just not a Doors guy. I've got a greatest hits, and that kind of covers me for my Doors for the most part. Anyway, for me, anyway.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar situation. I don't collect box sets just for financial reasons. I just can't afford them. I mean, if I had the money, I might jump on board that one. I'm not into too many other ones, but I'm okay on the Doors. Yeah. But a greatest hits comp, that's all I'd need anyway, too.
I tend to stay clear of the box sets myself as well, unless it's something I'm really, really, really into. So I need I'm missing a couple of things from my Doors collection. I could use a couple more Doors albums, but mostly I have what I need right now. So
the only Doors I have are the ones hanging in my house. So. Record Hound, I just put it in the description. It's vinylstoragesolutions.ca, and the promo code is not Northern 10, it's Northern 10. Apparently I can't type, so. Some of the Rhino Rocktober releases this month are stellar. Speaking of releases, we'll talk about this quick in case anyone wants to know. We think you guys have any thoughts on the Black Friday Record Store Day list?
I don't know. I looked, or I watched a couple videos on it or whatever, and nothing really jumps out like, oh man, I've got to get that. And I have first access to it if I want. So are you
going to bring anything in and do a Record Store Day or what?
I think so. We're not going to go crazy. We're still building up our new clientele. I'm trying to get the word out that we've got new. I don't want to have thousands of records that are just going to sit there. So I'm trying to be a little picky about what I'm bringing in. I'd love to do lots of pre-orders. So what I might do for that is say, okay, here's the list. Let me know. And I will try and get it for you, because you can't guarantee any of that. Right. I was watching Mike from the In-Groove. There's some of the titles are 500 copies across the board. And, he's probably going to get some of the bigger places, and that's not even a guarantee. So I don't even know if I'd get any other than maybe some of the Canadian ones. So the only thing I'd like to, and I don't think it's the player this time. I still want to get one of those little 3-inch Beatle record players and discs. I just don't have one of those. I had it on order last time, and then it didn't come in. So I want to try and get that, but I'm not sure if it's the player or if it's just a new 3-inch to go with the player. So
it's a new 3-inch to go with you can order the player off their web store. It was restocked.
Yeah. So probably do that. And then they've got that 7-inch coming out as well. So there is a, you know what I saw the other day? Quick. Sorry. The Beatles Christmas album. Do you have the Beatles Christmas album? I can't remember. I think it was Dylan showed it. He got it from someone. Yeah. I that's the first time I ever saw it was that. And it wasn't a bootleg. It was an official, I guess, somewhere official.
Yeah, there are some they're few and far between. I'd settle for a bootleg just to have one, but
yeah. I'm not even sure what
if one ever comes through your store, Joe.
If two ever come through the store.
So I would get the first one and you get the second one?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. I would just, I would take one second for myself.
That's what I thought.
I haven't bought. That's not true. I keep saying I haven't bought a record. I've bought 3 records since May for myself. I've bought tons of records, but I bought 3 for myself.
Sure.
Anyway, irregardless. I know irregardless.
I wasn't thrilled with the Black Friday list. I'm not a big Record Store Day guy anymore. It's kind of not that I'm trying to be like, it's not my thing. It's just there hasn't been much that's appealed to me. And if I don't have to get out of bed, fantastic. I don't like getting out of bed ever. So I'm going to have to go this year because I really want that U2 How to Reassemble an Atomic Bomb.
Yeah.
Because I'm not buying the big stupid box set. So I want that. And there's 15,000 copies worldwide. So it shouldn't be that hard to get. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
What about you, Curtis? Anything on there for you, man?
There was one release from Craft Recordings that piqued my interest, but it's a Joe Bataan, but it's a Records Day first, so you'll be able to get it after Record Store Day. So I'm not in any rush to go out there and pick it up right now. So But yeah, that was the only thing that really piqued my interest. That kind of Latin soul kind of stuff. So
we know that Daryl's going to get up early the day before and hop on a train and then a plane and then a boat and then another train and whatever to get to the nearest record store. So I assume
only to go there and read the list, because I actually didn't even look at it yet.
There you go.
Just go out on a whim.
Let's see here. Look who's here. MGK Buffalo. I think you should change your name, Mike. I really do, because you're not in Boston anymore. But I'm thrilled that Mike is in Boston. Or no, not Boston, Buffalo. Pardon me. Only because Mike now lives an hour and a half away from me. So when these guys are going to play the Buffalo Sabres, you might hear a knock on your door. Just saying. Or in the summer, the Buffalo Bisons are the Jays AAA team. So, Mike might be seeing me a little bit. Record Hound. I'll be driving right through St. Catharines when I go visit Mike. So there you go. I know Rob would want the U2 RSD album unless they're shelling it out. No, U2's had some really good box sets. Like they just actually reissued the 10 LP box set for All That You Can't Leave Behind, and I would love to own that. But I'm not spending $300. That's just insane. So, yeah, I'm just going to do the RSD U2 album. What else is going on in the comments here? Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. So, the other thing we should talk about today, which actually segues nicely into our topic, today is October the 9th, which is John Lennon's birthday. So we should all observe John Lennon's birthday. To me, the most important. Curtis, look at all that hair, man. Holy, I'm jealous. You got a couple, three other baldies over here. One of these is not like the other.
There's not much left. Don't get too jealous. It's pretty patchy.
Curtis is the furry of this group.
Yeah, that's right.
Google that if you don't know what a furry is.
No, don't,
actually, you don't
Google it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, so John Lennon's birthday, he would have been 84 today, I think, or something like that.
Not
82,
sure.
84, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to say anything about John Lennon. We all know how incredible he was, and, I don't have the words to explain how important he was to me. I wish I could have seen him. I didn't share the planet with him very long because I was 2 years old when he was killed. So, yeah, but, played some John Lennon today just to kind of, immortalize, his birthday. And to that end, our topic this evening, as suggested by Daryl, was sort of socio-political songs that are inspired by a political or social or whatever cause or message or whatever. And to be clear, this is not going to degenerate into a discussion of politics. This is not going to be like a certain other shit show that appears on YouTube. We're not going down that road.
No.
And I know my fellow panelists are cool. We're not going to go there, but we're just going to talk about the songs and, sort of what they're based on or what the message is or whatever. And we'll leave everyone's interpretation of that behind. And I would ask that the folks in the peanut gallery do the same. Free political discussion. Let's see if we can pull this off. You guys up for the challenge?
Oh, yeah. We can do it.
I'm up.
I'm going to go first because you mentioned John Lennon, and I'm going to show John Lennon. So if it's all right with you guys, I'm going to go first. And if it's not all right with you guys, I'm still just going to do this. And then there's nothing you can do about it. So, arguably, John Lennon is, one of the more politically motivated musicians in the history of pop. I mean, guys like Dylan and that, but I think Lennon was probably one of the first. And this is just a compilation that came out posthumously, I think. I think this came out after that, but I'm not sure. It's called Shaved Fish. But I mean, there's a few songs on here that are, politically motivated, politically inspired. And, the first one that I think of is Give Peace a Chance. Obviously, I mean, the title says it all. It is a sort of, it became kind of a protest anthem to the Vietnam War. It was kind of that was, the hippie sing-along song. But this was recorded in a hotel room in Montreal when John and Yoko were having a bet-in for peace. And he just kind of said, give peace a chance. It's just kind of an offhanded comment, and it kind of germinated, and he wrote some notes down, and he said, we got to find a recording engineer. And they brought in a guy to a little 4-track recorder and brought in a bunch of people. And everyone's probably seen the video of John and Yoko singing this on the bed in Montreal. I've stayed at that hotel. It's the Queen Elizabeth Hotel downtown. And I went up to the John Lennon suite, and there's a sign on the door. It's the John Lennon Yoko Ono suite or whatever. I couldn't go in, but I touched the door, which, as close as I could get. But, Give Peace a Chance is kind of the first one I think of on here. Another one kind of like, Power to the People is kind of his, sort of chant song that, gets folks motivated. And then obviously the last one sort of in that same vein as the other two is, Happy Christmas, War is Over. So John has many more political songs, but these are kind of the three that instantly popped into my mind. So since it's his birthday, here we go.
Right on.
Yeah.
It's the only John Lennon solo album I have in my collection, actually. So
interesting. Most people usually have like Imagine. He's the one most people have. I really like his. I'm not a big fan of the solo Beatles stuff, to be quite honest. I have a little bit of Paul. I have one Ringo and I have one George. Don't really care for any of it, but John's solo stuff I love. He had some crap, but he also had some really good stuff. I liked Imagine. I liked John's half of Double Fantasy. Didn't care for Yoko's half too much. I absolutely loved Rock and Roll, which was a cover of Rock and Roll, like 50s and early 60s rock and roll albums, or songs, I should say. Loved that. Mind Games was great. Plastic Ono Band, not so much. It's kind of hit and miss, but I just think, what could have been if he, because he sort of stepped away from music to raise Sean for a while, and then just started to get back into music when he was taken from us. He's kind of go, what could have been? Who knows? So
yeah, because Double Fantasy was a pretty damn good album. So if that was the foray back in again, I think we had lots to look forward to. Of course, other than every second song was Yoko, and lover, hater, whatever. It just, I love the rest of that album so much, and then it's hers, and then there's and then it's hers, and yeah. So it's unfortunate, but you're right. We had lots to look forward to, I think, but we'll never know. I was watching. I remember because I'm old enough. I was watching Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson is where I learned that John Lennon had got shot. It had happened a little earlier, but I hadn't heard, or I was watching something else, and then eventually I was used to watch Johnny Carson when I was a kid, and that was where I first learned that John Lennon had been shot. So it is definitely one of those, for those of age, that you knew where you were, or where you heard it, or things like that. So
quite sad.
Yes.
Let's see here. Glenn says, I met John Lennon's girlfriend, May Pang. Wow, that's incredible. John left Yoko for a while, went out to California for 18 months. He called it his lost weekend. He dated May Pang, and that's when he recorded the Rock and Roll album. I did a video about the recording of that album, and it was crazy because Phil Spector produced it, and he was insane. But that's cool that you got to meet May Pang. That's awesome. She does a lot of Beatle conventions and stuff, apparently. So, fun fact: Tommy Smothers was one of the main guitarists and singers on "Give Peace a Chance." Yes, I read that on Wikipedia. I wasn't aware of that prior to me checking it out. Picked up John's Walls and Bridges today. Didn't even know it was his birthday. It's also Sean's birthday because Sean was born on his dad's birthday. So, I don't own Walls and Bridges. I think the only ones I don't own Walls or Bridges, and I don't own Milk and Honey. I think I've got everything. Oh, and I don't have Two Virgins because I don't want to see John's penis. So
everybody has.
True.
You just don't need it
AWG Moore, the first song I thought it was U2's Pride in the Name of Love. Yes, and there may be some U2 coming up, but I didn't pick that one. So. All right, guys, which one of you'd like to go next? Daryl, do you want to go since it was your idea?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. All right, so I was so recently I finally uploaded my my reviews of the Bruce Hornsby and the Range albums that I did. And when I was listening to the music that was on them, I was just going through and listening to some songs the way it is and stuff like that. Now, the way it is, I'm just going to briefly touch base on it. It's not my choice for this, but it is, he touches base on things like homelessness and just the idea of people laughing in your face if if you're not meeting the standards of others. But there's a song on the third Bruce Hornsby and the Range album, which is called A Night on the Town. Not that song, but there's a song on it called Fire on the Cross. And when I was listening to the song and I was like listening to the lyrics, obviously it's not a famous song, but it definitely delves into some of the more socio-cultural problems that not exist just in the United States and Canada, but worldwide when it comes to, I guess, racial tendencies and racial tension and all that kind of stuff. The song is literally a protest against like the KKK is what it would be, I guess you would say. And I guess I just was sitting there listening to it and I was like, man, this, like, it's a tastefully done song. It's not gloomy and doomy, but it made me think, how many songs out there are action songs against certain things. So, with the John Lennon, we're talking protesting war and stuff like that. And it just got me thinking about it. If you haven't listened to the song and it's something that you're interested in, it's, like I said, it's called Fire on the Cross. I think the most haunting lyric to me in the whole song, it actually says they're looking for some hired guns on the Texas border to keep the dark sons away from their daughters. Oof. And it's just a protest towards what's been going on since the 1920s and 30s. I forget who it was. We've talked about some music that's been done in the 30s and 40s. Just it's pretty powerful stuff, I guess is what I'm saying. And so that was the thing that kind of got me thinking. I'm not going to have anything like remotely close to this controversial on this list going forward, but it's the song that kind of got me thinking about this topic.
Yeah. When was it written, Daryl? Any idea?
This album was 1990, I think it is. Okay. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s.
Cool.
The only song that's actually a hit on this album is Across the River. That's the one that song itself actually is about a promiscuous girl that leaves town. I didn't even realize that she leaves her hometown and then she returns and everybody's kind of talking behind her back. So I guess Bruce Hornsby on the Range, when I was listening to his 3 albums, I could not believe how many songs were about socio-political issues, homelessness, environmental issues. Like, just, he's got a ton of stuff and tastefully done though.
It's good.
Interesting.
Good pick. Curtis, what do you got?
Okay. Well, I'm going to kind of continue along the same lines as Daryl with my first choice, actually. And I'm going to go way back to the 1930s. And it's U.S. as well. So it's kind of that, what would you call it, that sort of post-Civil War, Jim Crow kind of era in the U.S. And what I like about this is it kind of tells a story with like how art influences art, that influences art, and that influences society, right? And I kind of like that kind of feedback loop. So I'm talking about this lady. It's not this album. So Billie Holiday and Strange Fruit. So Strange Fruit, and I'm actually going to show the Nina Simone version. That's the version I was most familiar with, or I first. So much glare. There we are.
There you go.
Somewhere here, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, the context of the song. So if you're not familiar with the song, it's a really just stop you in your tracks kind of song, especially in, I find nothing wrong with Billie Holiday's version. Don't get me wrong. It's a fantastic version, but something about Nina Simone's voice on it just gives me chills, gives me bumps when I hear it. But it's based off of a photo. So there's a photo of a lynching. There was a couple of guys who were in jail, black guys, and they lynched the jail. They pulled them out, hung them. A big crowd came to watch and so forth. And there's a picture taken, and so that picture, a teacher, actually a school teacher in New York, in the Bronx, Jewish of Russian descent, Harvard educated man, wrote a poem about it, and then later performed it as a song, put it to music at Madison Square Garden during a teacher union kind of thing. And then eventually, so this was like 30, I want to say, so the lynching happened in the 1930s. So this is like 36-ish maybe. Billie Holiday records it, I think, in 39. So like pretty early in the even recorded music, right? And then some claim that it helped really spur on anyway, if not the kind of the social conscious, civil rights movement that followed along with it, right? So I just find it kind of interesting how, and then of course many people have sung it since, including my favorite version, Nina Simone. And so that's the Strange Fruit.
Very good, man. Good history lesson.
Teacher in the head.
We always learn something from Curtis, right? That's good though. Don't get me wrong. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
It always makes me realize how shallow my music collection is.
Yeah, well, mine too. I mean, yeah, a little bit, but I think I found a few. Now I kind of took the political aspect, but I also have some causes and some other things that are going to come up. And sometimes it's not specifically a song as much as it's the band that had a number of different songs. And in the first case, it's going to be The Clash. So the Clash had a lot of different things. Rock the Casbah on here, rock music not allowed. So that's why Rock the Casbah and things like that. So the Clash, and I think punk in general, really had a lot of things to say. Sometimes not so much, but the Sex Pistols with God Save the Queen and that. But for sure, the Clash and Strummer, and he continued to do that. I think the difference with Joe Strummer and I guess the rest of it is, I think he put his money where his mouth was. Right? Some bands will sing about stuff and then they don't really do anything about it, and that's not fair to say. But there are some bands. I shouldn't say most. Some bands that do that, but I think Strummer definitely tried to help the causes. He was part of the different rallies, and he was part of the different fundraising benefit concerts and things like that. And he was always a big part of it, as were other guys in the band as well. But I just happened to pull this one specifically, but there's lots on London Calling, and there's lots on the first one. Even them covering I Fought the Law, that's kind of borderline, but still it's in there and it's them. So I think punk is going to come up a couple of times in my pile here this evening. But I wanted to start it off with the boys from London, and there's not a hell of a lot of them left, unfortunately, but the Clash and Combat Rock. And this is a very clean copy. This is I have my original one. This is which was beat to hell because I played the heck out of it. This is a newer version of it, but it's good. And like I said, if you listen to the Clash, there's some non-political, other things, but they certainly had a lot of songs that were, and but wrote a lot of good, catchy songs to some meaningful words with them as well. So there you go.
Good one. Clash was the first thing that came to my mind. I didn't pull it because I only have one Clash album, and I am not even remotely close to any kind of informed authority on Clash music. So I figured leave that for someone else. I know there's a band that you and I both have in our piles, Joe, and I'm going to leave it because I know you're going to pull it at some point in time.
Well, and there's one that I put back away when you said Curtis was coming on. So we'll see.
And we know who that is.
In fact,
too,
I have
so.
to go back and pull it out at the end because it will certainly fit. But
Don't worry, it's here. It's here. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm about 99%. So anyway.
And I'm 99% sure you're going to pull the other one that you and I have in common.
Well,
sure.
but maybe not the same album. We'll see.
Ooh.
Maybe not the same album. We'll see.
Interesting. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. So a few things here in the comments. Another great protest song is "Zombie" by the Cranberries. Shit, I didn't even thought about that.
Yeah, we might be talking about that in a very near segment.
Okay.
Coming up, eh?
Allen Ginsberg sings on "Ghetto Defendant." I didn't know that. Highly impressed here, Curtis. There's tons of other historical songs that could be mentioned, but your choice is excellent. I agree. Always impressed me, Curtis, man.
Thanks, Record Hound. Cheers, buddy.
I don't have much Billy Bragg, but he certainly does a lot of social political songs. Yeah. I've only got I've got 3 albums with Billy Bragg on them, the ones he did with Wilco, but I've heard of some of his other stuff, and I've heard a lot of great Billy Bragg stories because my buddy used to play in his band for a while, so I need to get more. All right, it's still 1-0 for the Habs, so that's important. And it's my turn again. So I know I bring this band up every week, but fuck it, it's my stream, so I can bring this band up every week if I want, and I'm going to. I'm going to talk about Blue Rodeo. What a surprise! This is a great album from, I know Joe's spitting out his water. He's so shocked that I would mention this band. This is an album from 1997 called Tremolo. Fantastic record. Only available on CD. It's one of 5 of their albums that has never been pressed on vinyl. And I don't know that it's ever going to happen. But, side note, Jim played Kitchener last week on Friday, and I was there. Oh, breaking news. Look who it is. Hold on. Look, from the eye of the storm.
Good.
Music
That's
Talk
right.
with John. How you doing, man?
I'm exhausted. Good. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to do this from my cell phone, so let me know if it gets choppy.
That's okay. First of all, you and your family are safe.
Yeah, they're back there. This used to be a bank, so
A bank.
it's pretty secure.
Wow.
Yeah. So if it really got bad, there's a safe we can go into in there.
Wow. For
Yeah.
those that don't know,
Where
John,
exactly at, John?
John's in the eye of the incoming hurricane. So, man, how is it down there? Is
Where-
it getting hairy yet?
Yeah, I can actually step out and show you. Let me.
Don't go flying
This
away.
spot's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what it looks like right now.
Jesus. Holy moly, man.
Yeah, moving around.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Crazy.
How far inland are you from the coast right now, John?
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of what my location is. It locked me out. Good thing my niece is standing here because I just got locked out.
Oh, shit.
Oh, was it
Jeez,
open?
that's not what you want.
Oh,
John gets sucked away in a hurricane.
I got saved by my niece and her baby. Your dad just took off.
Get the fuck out.
We're live, but okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
How far do you think we're away from like Clearwater Beach from here?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
oh,
you.
Oh. I'm not sure. That's a good question.
I don't know. If you look on a map, just look up like US 19 and like Sunset, and you'll see how far we are from Clearwater Beach. We're not that far, but it's
When's
not
the
going to
storm
hit.
supposed to make landfall? Around midnight or something?
No, I think it's hitting now. I think it hit
Yeah.
Sarasota right about this time. So Scott DJ Vinyl
Yep.
Vertigo.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to get the eye going over him. So I haven't. I meant to text him to see how he's doing, but he was going to stay home.
He's crazy to
So-
stay home, man. If there's evacuation orders, you got to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, he's in a good elevation area, so he doesn't have to worry about the flooding. But
Yeah, but it could still rip the roof off his house and sock him away like
Yeah.
the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
no kidding. I don't know if he boarded up or anything. I was so busy trying to take care of my house. It was crazy.
Yeah, I've been watching your hurricane updates with great interest, so I'm really happy that you're safe, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing good. We even have power right now. Fingers crossed. But
You got generators in case it goes out?
yeah, we do. We have a generator, a couple generators.
Good.
So, we wouldn't use those until after the storm passes and all that stuff. But
Sure.
yeah, just another week in Florida, man. I can't believe it's only been 2 weeks since the last one. This is insane.
You watch the news and there's all the debris from the last one still piled up, which is just going to get spread all over again. Like people just kind of started to clean up.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, like the neighborhood next to us, if you saw my last video, I showed some of it, and that stuff's still there. Like they still had stuff because they got flooded out really bad, so they cleared out their houses and put all this stuff. It's like wood flooring, panels, and tile and all this stuff that can just go flying. So I can't imagine what it's doing out there right now in that neighborhood. It's because they didn't get a chance to clean up from the last one, and you get this one now.
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah. So how's the weather in your area?
We're all good compared to you. So
Yeah, I was thinking about you earlier today, though, man. So
yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we played it safe. We're putting boards on the house in the rain all day today. That was fun.
yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, so that's the weather update. It's hitting. We're doing good. So hopefully everybody, I think a lot of people took this one a little bit more serious. Everybody on my block they were going to stay. But from what I understand, they all left now. They're all out of there. They all left their homes.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So anyway, I figured I'd give you a little update. I don't want to interrupt your show. You guys?
No, feel free to stay on. We're talking about songs that are socio-political inspired. So
Okay.
give us a Billy Joel song that's social or political in commentary.
Would I be like Allentown? There's got to be more.
What's
Dude,
that one about?
Put me on the spot now. It's like not being able to live up to your father's dreams, like kind of thing.
There you go.
They threw an American flag in our face, kind of stopped us. Everybody barely got a diploma, kind of thing.
That fits.
I'll think about it a little bit more, but I know there's more Billy Joel songs that are political. Well, Down Easter Alexa sort of is. Yeah, Down Easter Alexa has that theme, with the longshoremen and all that, losing their jobs and all that. So, he's like Springsteen. He's kind of like the people's person, He's the blue collar.
There may be some Springsteen coming up in a little while. Just maybe.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll hang on here and see what you guys have, and if I have anything to contribute, I will.
All right, cool. I'm going to make myself big here. All right. Glad that John could join us, and I hope you stay on for as long as you want, John. We'd love to have you. Going back to this, 1997 Tremolo. Not available on vinyl, although Jim was in town on Friday, and I went to see him. And my buddy that used to be in Blue Rodeo was having coffee with him on Saturday morning and texts me, having coffee. He sends a picture of Jim, and he goes, "Jim says hi." And I said, "Tell Jim I want Tremolo on vinyl." So maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I don't know. Side note, though. There's a song off here called "It Could Happen to You," which was a big hit for them, as big hits go. Was on the radio, was on Much Music all the time. And this is a song that was inspired by Rudy Giuliani. When he was the mayor of New York City back in 1995, he called in the riot squad to remove some squatters from an abandoned building in New York City. These squatters had taken the building and they cleaned it out. Like it was like, well, not just an abandoned building, but an abandoned building that had been abandoned for a while, and they'd cleaned it out and made it hospitable and planted gardens and, you know, put in new windows and just made it livable. And they made it kind of like a little artists community that was sort of self-sufficient. And rightly or wrongly, you know, squatting is illegal, but you know, whatever. We're not getting into politics. I don't have any skin in this game. So Giuliani came in and sent the riot police in and kicked them out. A little excessive of a response, I guess, is maybe the way to put it. And so Jim wrote a song about it called "It Could Happen to You," and it's basically kind of saying, like, literally, it could happen to you. You're going to get your comeuppance at some point in time for what you've done here. You know, you think of John Lennon and instant karma. You know, karma's going to get you. Well, that's kind of what this song is about. And I guess I would argue that maybe Giuliani has got what was coming to him, because he's now kind of viewed as a crazy man, and he's been disbarred in New York and he's been disbarred in Washington. So it could happen to you. There you go. There are many other political Blue Rodeo songs, and I might do another one later, but that was the first one that came to mind. Great song, and the first song that I ever learned to play on guitar. So, there you go.
Nice.
Let's see here. Music Sanctuary says, John, all the best to you and your folks. Hope you stay safe. Glenn says, I love Blue Rodeo. Days in Between. Oh, that's my favorite too. That's an album that never gets played live. The band hates that album, I know for a fact. Although when I saw Jim on Friday, he did play Sad Nights live. And I've seen Jim in concert 55 times, and it's the first time I've ever heard him play Sad Nights. But that is a phenomenal album, and if you can ever find it on vinyl, consider yourself lucky, because it's scarce. I've got a signed copy over here on the wall. Great album. Has anyone heard from Marsha P? Is she doing okay? Whereabouts is she in Florida, John? Do you know?
No, and it's starting to break up bad, so I might need to get into the chat. But no, I meant to text her. That's another person I meant to. She's going to be about a category 1 when they go her way.
Ah, okay. Cool.
Still.
Friggin' 3-seat couch could turn into a missile?
I'm going to go to the chat. Really choppy.
All right. What is friggin' 3-seat couch? What does that mean? Am I missing something?
No, I think just that we talked. Well, I'm going to speak for Music Sanctuary or whoever made that comment. What I think they meant is because we were talking about the fact that he's safe because he's up out of the way. That doesn't mean that a couch can't turn into a missile.
Yeah.
But the water's not a problem, but all the other stuff going on, especially like I said, we were watching earlier. Joe and I were watching stuff, and there is more stuff out and about, and there's some completely devastated parts of Florida already. And then the winds weren't even, I don't think they were as bad for the last hurricane. It went down to a category 3. That still means 195 kilometers an hour.
That's fast.
Unbelievable.
Right? Versus 250. So, it's only a 3. It sounds much less than a 5. But it's only 50. Once you get up over 150 kilometers an hour,
anything flying through the air is still going to kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
All right, Daryl, you got your round 2.
Yeah. So earlier, what was it? Was it JWG Moore mentioned the Cranberries? So that actually is going to be my next choice. So this song stems all the way back to, at least the historical aspect from it, I believe stems all the way back to World War I, during a period of time in Ireland, which I believe they call the Troubles. I'm not exactly 100% sure what the Troubles are, but I know that come the 80s and the 90s, the religious tensions between Northern Ireland and all that kind of stuff, Protestants and Catholics, kind of came to a whole head there with the IRA and terrorism and stuff. And the song Zombie is an actual anti-terrorism song that's targeted at the IRA and all the stuff that goes on. And particularly, I believe Dolores O'Riordan and the band wrote it based on an IRA bombing, I think, that happened in 1993 that killed a couple of children. And it's kind of become a mantra against, I wouldn't just say terrorism, but just big time troubles as it is. As we know, I mean, the Bad Wolves redid the song. Was that 5-6 years ago? Maybe even 10 years ago now. And they changed, I forget exactly what line they changed, the Bad Wolves, but they did change one of the lines in the song to make it more applicable. Oh, something to do with drones. It has something to do with drones. And just the idea of politics and religion and stuff, and how, unless people can get their crap together, these kinds of things are never going to end. To my knowledge, I haven't heard anything about the IRA in recent years, so I'm not saying this song put an end to that, but it definitely opened up people's eyes about terrorism and things of that nature going forward. So, last week we talked about, I know, Joe, we had talked about musicians that tragically killed themselves or whatever it is. I mean, she was a lovely person, just had some mental health issues, and a sad loss. I mean, the band I remember when I first heard that song in high school, my dad, somebody recorded a cassette tape for me of that and Dreams and a few other songs, and I've just loved the Cranberries ever since then. They're an amazing band, and that song is pretty powerful.
Very, yeah, agreed.
It's a good pick. I've got the exact same record. It's great. Essentially, it's their greatest hits, right? It's a good one.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one here. If you haven't seen it, it's called Dreams, the collection. It's if you don't want to buy every other Cranberries album, that's a perfect one to go with.
And then they put out another greatest hits like a year later. Who knows why? That's the one I bought. So it's good. All right. Curtis, you're next.
Next. Okay. I'm going with this fella here. This is the only piece of vinyl I have. I should take this out of the shrink. There's too much glare. Sorry, I should have been more prepared. Let me just take it out of the shrink.
Grip it and rip it. That's what I say when it comes to shrink. Grip it and rip it.
It's just one of those cheap covers. So I don't know if you can see. It's still a lot of glare. It's Tupac Shakur. This is some hip hop. This is a single that was released posthumously. This has on it. Well, there's a couple of things on it. It's marketed, I think. Be the Realist, where he did a collaboration with the Notorious B.I.G. Biggie before they both passed away. But the song on here that fits into this conversation is Panther Power, because Tupac's mother, and father, he was raised by his mother though, were both members of the Black Panther movement. But I'm going to show one off of this CD. This is just a greatest hits CD, and it might be, I think, certainly one of his best, and that is Keep Your Head Up. Keep Your Head Up is, it's a song about, a little bit just, conditions in the ghetto and systemic racism and so forth. But I think more than that, it's an uplifting song to young Black women in that kind of situation. I had some lyrics up here earlier, but here they are. And when he tells you you ain't nothing, don't believe him. And if he can't learn to love you, you should leave him. Because, sister, you don't need him. And I ain't trying to get to gas you up. I just call him how I see him. And it goes on and on. So it's kind of a message to women. He starts off the song saying it's a message to his godchildren, who coincidentally you might be familiar with Salt and Pepper. One of the girls from Salt and Pepper, I think it was Salt, I think, that was his godchildren's mother, I guess, and they met through Naughty by Nature. There, so Pac did a lot of political songs in his career, about and he's very poetic as well in his lyricism, and I think it really shows on that track there. So yeah, and and kind of contextually what was happening at the time. So it's 93. It was written in 92, which is right around the Rodney King riots that are happening in California. So it's kind of, that's the backdrop to all of this. And I think thinking back to way back to 1930 with Billie Holiday, and it's kind of, there's just there's a lot of similarities there, even though they're 80 years apart, I think. So yeah,
good one, man. Joe, what you got?
So I am a 58-year-old white dude living in Canada. So I have very, 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 in fact, nothing to complain about. Nobody treats me poorly. Nobody looks down on me. Well, you know what I mean.
Only tall people look down on you, Joe.
Yeah. So I in no way can relate to this song, but it is probably the most to the point, political, somewhat song, I think, anyway, and that is NWA and Fuck the Police. So again, I have nothing in common with the guys from NWA, but I can completely understand where they're coming from. I think I can understand where everybody's coming from with the albums that we're listening to, but it is pretty much, like I said, I think one of the most direct, at least titles. Anyway, there's lots of lyrics that are more direct and as direct as well. But this came out. This is a repress, but this came out in 1988. It was happening before that. It was happening now, and it's happening now. It just doesn't stop. The shit that black folks go through. Again, I can't speak to it because I have no form of reference whatsoever, other than what I've seen, what I've heard, things like that. I've had, I've got some friends that are black. Again, I can't relate to it in any way, shape, or form, but I can completely understand it. And there's no reason for what happens not to change, but it's never going to change. So that's just one. I shouldn't say it's never going to change, but again, it was happening long before that song. It was happening in 1988. It's happening in 2024, and it's just going to keep happening. But I don't know what I can do about it, other than to be a decent person and do the right things. But it's unfortunate, but you can completely understand, I think, where NWA is coming from with that song. A lot of people will hear it and think, well, that's not right because it's the police. If you take it in context to their situation with the police, yeah, it's not, I can't say fuck the police. I don't have a problem with the police. They don't have a problem with me for the most part. But that's not to be said for NWA. So I'm not sure if that was becoming a little political or not. So I'm just going to leave it there. And I think everybody knows where that's coming from. But a poignant song then, a poignant song now, and it will continue to be a poignant song, regardless of the way that they state it, I guess, forever, unfortunately, I think.
That is a very suitable and appropriate album for this discussion. If I had money that you were gonna Joe pulling an NWA record, I would have thought not in a million years.
Yeah. No,
quite surprised. I mean, that would be like me owning a Britney Spears record. I wouldn't have thought that. Great pick.
It fits really nicely with that last Tupac one. So
yeah,
I think to your point, Joe, I think that's what great artists do, right? They paint that picture for you. They express it in ways that, even a white dude in Nova Scotia can understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why these songs are so powerful, because they tell it in a way that, even I can get.
Sure. And like I said, there's lots of dumbasses out there that never listened to it, but just took the title and went, well, that's nothing, you know. Anyway, we'll leave it at that before we get a little deeper political, which you said we weren't going to do. So
Glenn makes a point here. I mean, arguably, probably one of the most famous socio-political protest songs, whatever you want to call it. Oh, are you gonna?
No, I was. It's in the if I have time list. So
I got a couple of those. Yeah.
Ohio, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You know about the Kent State incident. Buffalo Springfield, for what it's worth. Yes, absolutely. Racer Joe, Arsenio Hall is on the newest Howie Mandel podcast on YouTube. He went into detail about getting NWA to play that song on his show. Wow. I can imagine that there was some network or cable censors that maybe even might not have been all right with that, but good that he
Lost
did.
their mind. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Thank you, Record Hound. That's good. I'll look for that.
Tom Morello, the Night Watchman, does a lot of political music. Check out the song Black Spartacus Heart Attack Machine. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Also, Midnight Oil is political. Yep.
Yeah, beds are burning for sure.
Yep. Especially when I'm done with them.
I wasn't going to go with Beds Are Burning, but I was going to go with the one right before it. It's got Power and the Passion on it, 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1. But yeah, because I don't know why, but I don't have the one with Beds Are Burning. But yeah, you know, they're a little more Australia focused, right? It was the Aboriginals, pardon me, which just equates to Native Americans or Native Canadians here, you know, getting. But yeah, political, and again, good music too. Midnight Oil. Let's not forget, there's a lot of really good music here as well, right? Like there's a lot of things being said, but there's a lot of really, really good music that is wrapped around this message, which is good. You know, I love a good pop song about drinking and girls and cars and stuff like that, but you know, I'll take a good political song as well, as long as it's got a meaning or a message that I can think about, put some thought into.
Well, that segues in perfectly into my next pick, Joe. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I know we plan it that way, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, people could probably guess what song I'm going to pick off of Creedence's Willie and the Poor Boys. The song "Fortunate Son." Amazing song. One of my favorite guitar riffs ever is the opening to this song. Great, great song. Simply a protest song about the Vietnam War. There's a lot of those, right? I mean, I have other songs here that are protest songs about the Vietnam War. Obviously, highly contentious time and highly divisive time in American history. But you know, Fortunate Son. Some folks are born made to wave the flag or the red, white, and blue, you know, and others, you know, it's not their thing, you know, so they don't want to blindly march off to war. So it's a song that, you know, shed some light on the sentiment of folks that did not agree with the states being in Vietnam. And I think looking through the lens of history, I think maybe the general consensus is that maybe they shouldn't have been there. I don't know, but I'm glad I wasn't a politician to make that decision back at the time. So there you go. Fortunate Son by Creedence.
Right.
Record Hound is saying he's got to run.
Thank you for coming
We'd like
by.
to make people think.
Yeah, I'll check out that Arsenio Hall and Howie Mandel thing for sure.
There you go. All right. Daryl, you're next.
All right. So I'm just going to segue in because you left me a great segue. Anti-Vietnam War songs. I'm sure somebody else has got to have this one on their list. I got to go with The Boss. I got to go with Born in the USA, which everybody thinks is this American patriotic, yay, USA song. And you listen to the lyrics and it has nothing to do with it. You know, straight up Vietnam War vets coming back from the war, not being helped by the VA society, things that they saw while they were at war. I actually had a coworker get offended by one of the lines in the song where he refers to the Asians as the yellow man in the song. and I said it's not meant to be racially motivated. It's meant to be that's how they were referred to as, unfortunately, and he's making a political statement that's not okay. Like, you can't. This song goes more than just Vietnam War. It's about race. It's about the soldiers coming back. It's about they're not being supported. And it was kind of an FU to the government, really, if you think about it. And yet you can come across somebody every day that's like, this is a patriotic song, yay America. And then
well,
you're
even,
like, no,
even Reagan embraced
it
it back in '84 or whatever as a patriotic anthem, because not like Reagan ever listened to the bloody song.
No.
Yeah, no. So that, I mean, there are tons of songs about Vietnam War. I think one that comes to mind, I don't have it on in my collection, but I Ain't Marching Anymore by Phil Oakes, 1970s. That one's a total. He was I think he was a draft dodger. I think. That'd be kind of neat to see how many musicians were draft dodgers or got around. But I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I know there's draft dodgers that are in Canada that are still afraid to go back, even though they've repealed that law, but they just don't want to go back out of fear that something might happen. And I think that's what Bruce was trying to say, is that these were 18-year-old kids going off and coming back different people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tie back into what Daryl was saying, because I pulled this because I was going to show them both. Off Asbury Park, the song "Lost in the Flood" is the same kind of thing. It's about someone coming back from Vietnam and just kind of, I made the sacrifice to go to war, but look what the hell my country has turned into. It's kind of the same. Bruce writing a similar story with a different character on a different album, but it's definitely not the patriotic anthem that Born in the USA is perceived to be, but it's the same. I guess this was a big issue that was heavy on Bruce's heart or his mind or whatever. So, good one.
Okay, well then, 1 second, Curtis, hold up. Let me go. We'll just continue on with Bruce Springsteen, because I did have a different album. Of course, I thought of Born in the USA, but I went with The Rising, which is his album after 9/11. So not necessarily political, but when we started to talk about this, I thought I saw the word causes and things like that in there as well.
Yeah, that's fair.
And/or reflection, of course, after 9/11. I mean, there is some political in here, and there'll be political on a lot of. Nebraska's probably filled with a bunch of stuff as well. Bruce is one of those guys that falls into that category where, not every song is, but a lot of them are. But, stuff on here, Into the Fire, Waiting on a Sunny Day. That's the song that I most want to hear of all the Bruce Springsteen songs. When I go and see him in November, I want to hear that song. I just love that song. I think it's such a fantastic, but so yeah, not for the same reasons specifically as a Born in the USA, but again, this was a very well-written album by a guy that obviously had a lot of heart into it. New Jersey versus New York, but still New Jersey, New York. No offense to New Jersey and New York, but same thing, kind of, right? I mean, that's home for Bruce still. So that was an important album, I think, for him, and a very good album. He kind of not his popularity, but his radio airplay kind of wanes after Tunnel of Love, right? There's not a lot, and I can't really think of much that really is on the radio. Not that that's a staple or something that is, important in any way, shape, or form, but that's a really, really good album. There's lots of really good albums after Tunnel of Love, but that's probably my favorite one. And again, I'm hoping that there's a couple of songs from that in the set list, or at least in one of the 2 nights. I hope I get maybe a couple for one night and a couple the next night. I'm not sure. I got to get me one of them signs, because he does that, right, where he looks in the crowd for some signs for those. But we're going to play this specifically tonight, so I'll be right up front there with my Waiting on a Sunny Day sign. So hopefully. But yeah, Bruce, instantly one of the guys that we thought of. I think we probably all thought of when we thought of this topic. So
Yep.
Yeah. Curtis,
Nice.
sorry, didn't mean to jump in, but I thought I'd keep the Springsteen rolling.
Not at all. Very good. I watched a video today from Springsteen concert where a girl was holding a sign that says "Rock Paper Scissors" for the harmonica, and they did rock paper scissors, and he lost, so she got the harmonica.
Nice.
All right.
It was
Cool.
great.
That's good.
She can take his spit off of there, and she can have him cloned.
There you go. Hey.
That's
We'll
right.
only ever do one, clone him or not. Yeah, so I was just counting while we were talking here. I've got 4 albums that were all kind of like linked with Vietnam. I think something about that era and the music at that time, really captures in the music. And so I'll show one of them, and that's this masterpiece, Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On," so the title track, "What's Going On." I did a reaction video with my daughter to this not that long ago, maybe a couple months ago or so now. And it was actually just this week, a gentleman left a comment on it. And I'm actually going to read the comment because it was really, it was just his experience, right? So he said, "At 19, I was waiting for my turn to die, and I wasn't the youngest. The first time I heard the song, I was in a mud hole fire base in Vietnam. Of about 200 guys, I don't know if any of us volunteered, but most of us didn't think we would live to see the end of the war. Unfortunately, some of us didn't. My buddy got the cassette tape sent to him from home. We listened continuously on a small tape player. 60 years later, every time I hear the song, I cry, not for the friends I lost, but because I survived. So I appreciate your perspective. I only wanted to give some more context. I hope it helps understand what people were thinking in 1971. And so I think that he left that about 5 days ago, and so they got really kind of wow. I thought, what a great perspective on what's going on, and how important music is to us in times like that, and and how it brings us back. I don't know if 60 years is right or not, but anyway, all this time later to that song still move you like that. I think it's just incredible, the power of music.
Agreed.
Well said,
That's
man.
quite the comment. That might be one of the most in-depth telling comments on a YouTube video ever, possibly. I
screenshotted it. I was like, wow, this is one to keep. That's
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Where are we in the comments here? Blue Sky Mine is great Midnight Oil song about workers in an asbestos mine. God, that's got to be a hellacious job. Holy shit.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just when you think your day sucks, you could be working in an asbestos mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God.
I don't
Phil
have
Collins song. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I don't have it here, but I think is it Great Big Sea has a song about working in a mine that kind of has that similar feeling.
Yeah, they do.
Oh boy, go.
Yeah.
Down your every breath.
Yeah. I'm drawing a blank on the title.
Good one.
Yeah, it'll come to me later on when we're not here and it's not important.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at song titles. I'm like, that song on that album that's got those words? Very specific. Phil Collins' song "Another Day in Paradise" is about homelessness.
Yeah.
Here's probably our most political songwriter. I would probably argue Bruce Cockburn. I agree. Call It Democracy, Red Brother, Red Sister, and of course, If I Had a Rocket Launcher. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and Does a Tree Fall in the Forest? Bruce was going to get pulled, and it was certainly one, as Curtis said, on the in the minors right now. Not that it belongs in the minors, but it wasn't one I was for sure going to show. But yeah, Bruce Cockburn comes to mind as far as this topic goes as well. So
Rick James fled to Canada to beat the Vietnam draft. He hung out with Neil. I'm Rick James, bitch. All right, here's what we wanted from John. Good Night Saigon about the Vietnam War from Billy Joel. We Didn't Start the Fire. And at least 100 Dylan songs. I'm surprised no one's pulled Dylan yet. I'm sure somebody might. I certainly will not. You know,
I
because
think
we all think.
I shouldn't speak for everybody, but I think he was the one that, yeah, we know. I don't know, because I don't have any either. I have Bob Dylan music, but it was like that. That's kind of like if you're going to leave someone out, that's who you leave out because that's all you talk about. So
Sure. I leave him out because I'm not a Dylan fan.
yeah, I know.
It sounds like he's got hot sauce on his pecker or something. Jeez.
That's a new one.
Well, I have to come up with a new analogy every week because
You know what though? He sounds okay with the Traveling Wilburys. Why is that? Just because it's wrapped around Tom Petty and everybody else singing?
maybe.
Oh, okay, quick. Sorry, squirrel. Has anybody watched
Where?
the show that's on Apple TV called Bad Monkey with Vince Vaughn?
No.
No. Okay. So A, it's very good, but B, it's all filled with Tom Petty cover songs. And there are some fantastic versions of Tom Petty songs. And if you go to Spotify and look up Bad Monkey, the list is there. Now they used a couple of actual Tom Petty songs, but there's like a really, really great slowish version of The Waiting. I can't remember who sings it. And it's not like a bunch of big names. It's not that country one. This is a bunch of other artists that they got. And it's every once in a while they go, oh yeah, right. It's all Tom Petty songs because they're all Tom Petty songs for the most part, like 90%, but nothing until, there's a few that are actually Tom singing. But I recommend, if nothing else, Spotify, the Bad Monkey soundtrack, and listen to some of the covers of Tom Petty songs. They're pretty cool. They're good.
Is the show any good? Is the show any good?
And the show is really good. Yeah, no, I mean, if you're a Vince Vaughn fan, it's fantastic because it's almost like they wrote it for him. That banter and the bullshit that he does and things. He's perfect in it. It's well written. It's a good story. It's 8 episodes. I think it's 8 episodes. And it's all done now on Apple TV. So if you want to start and finish her quick, it's all up there and ready to go. So, yeah, I recommend it.
I've got to address this comment before we keep going. Are you for fucking real? Rita McNeil has a protests political. Fuck off.
Rita McNeil was very
out of town.
She was being watched by the RCMP. I kid you not, because she was she was fairly political.
No,
she, especially with like women's rights and things like that. She was.
Well, knock me over with a feather.
There you go.
Next, you're going to tell me that Fred Penner was a communist. Like, there's no goddamn way. Really? And all the Americans are going, who the fuck is Rita McNeil?
And Fred Penner, kind of.
Maybe next episode on Canadians talking about Canadian music. You never know. All right. I'm going to go again because it's my turn. And by the way, it is the third period, and it is still not 1-0 for the Habs. So that's fantastic. And for my American friends, that's what we call the Montreal Canadiens. We don't call them the Canadians, we call them the Habs. If you want a history lesson, I'll tell you why they're called the Habs. But if you don't want a history lesson, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, I could go a whole bunch of different ways. Should I do another Blue Rodeo song just for fun?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Because no one cares. I'm going to do it anyway. You guys know this album, Lost Together. Lost Together is, in this country, pretty anthemic. A lot of folks know this song. But that's not the one I'm going to talk about. There's a song that leads off this album called Fools Like You. And it is about the government and their greed with respect to honoring native land treaties and how, the commercial benefits of expropriating native land outweighs our moral responsibility to uphold those treaties. I think is probably the best way to describe it. I'll quote you some of the lyrics. It says, so well practiced in your deceit, behind the high walls of stupidity, your endless conceit. Behind the locked door, your sleeping dog you beat. I hope to see the day she satisfies your teeth, Give back to the native, their treaty land. You preach what you preach for others. Why don't you practice that firsthand? And with the profits of destruction forever make your eyes blind, do you bow to the corporations because they pay your bills on time? It's a rather biting song by Greg Keeler about how we have done a pretty poor job of honoring Native treaties. I won't comment any further on that because we're not getting into the politics, but it is a very big issue in Canada, to the point that we now have a holiday, which we just celebrated a week or so ago, called Truth and Reconciliation Day, where we try to bring light to that societal issue. Let's just leave it at that. And I'll add one more to my Blue Rodeo pod, and I can't show it to you because it was only released as a digital single, and I absolutely love it. It's a Blue Rodeo song no one has heard. It's called "Stealing All My Dreams." And when Stephen Harper was our president or prime minister, he let's just say had not a lot of respect for our constitutional institutions and some of the things that make us a country. And Jim and Greg got really, really pissed off, and they wrote a protest song. It blatantly calls out Stephen Harper. And in the video, because it was only released digitally, so you can find it on YouTube, as they're singing the song, it's a very good electric rock song. It lists all of the things that Harper has done. Wanted to defund the CBC, wanted to silence, research institutions that ran contrary to science issues that the conservatives had a platform on, be it climate change or whatever. And the whole thing is just a big fuck you to Stephen Harper. Awesome Blue Rodeo song that no one has ever heard, but a real good song. So there you go. I'm not going to talk about Blue Rodeo anymore tonight.
That's all right. That's good.
That's it. That's all. Listen. You're right. What about this? I promise next week I won't mention them. How's that? There you go.
Don't make
It's my
promises.
favorite band. What are you going to do? You come here for my glowing descriptions of what I think Bob Dylan's voice sound like, and you come here to hear about Blue Rodeo. So there you go. Daryl, you're next.
All right. So I'm going to do a two for this time.
Right.
So one fact that a lot of people don't know, unless you're pretty much immediate family or a close friend, is that my favorite band of all time is Primus. And there's a song on their Tales from the Punch Bowl. And I guess the topic that I'm going to bring up with these two albums, they have some similarities, they have some differences. But I guess the theme that I'm looking at here, I would have went with Boomtown Rats' I Don't Like Mondays. But I think the idea of bullying in schools, which I guess in a more modern sense has led to some other trying sensitive issues such as gun violence and things of that nature. There's a song on this Primus album, The Tales from the Punch Bowl, called Mrs. Blaylene, which is actually about a female elementary school teacher that bullies a particular student in the class to the point where all the other kids blatantly make fun of him, and in a pretty negative way. And I think that one of the first major bands that dealt with this idea of bullying at the high school level was probably Pearl Jam with Jeremy, with one of the most controversial videos of the 90s. I know on Much Music and stuff, they wouldn't even play it, I think, until after 9 p.m.
Yep.
Which is this whole topic has also led to things like Foster the People and Pumped Up Kicks and all that kind of stuff. But the idea of how do we address the bullying and stuff. Do I agree with gun violence? Definitely not. Do I think that there's serious issues? For sure. some people even in our own country don't believe that we have those issues. I mean, you just go back to the 1990s with Tabor, Alberta. There was a shooting in a school in Alberta, and even in Southern Ontario, I mean, there's been some serious issues. And I think that music can be used to try to educate. I wouldn't say it's going to be used to combat the whole situation. There's other things that have to be put in place. But I do think that whole grunge movement, stemming from the Boomtown Rats and things like that, it has just progressively got to that point where we're using music as a political statement that this is not okay. But there's limited control in the educational facilities, and I guess what educators can do to deal with these situations. Yeah.
Yep. Good one. Good one.
Good choice. Is
Makes me think, and Curtis will appreciate that. Makes me think of an Adam Baldwin song off of No Telling When. There's a song called Ratea. It's about Ratea Parsons, who was a 16-year-old girl. That would have happened when you were in Japan, but she was very well publicized case in Nova Scotia. She was a victim of cyberbullying to the point that she took her own life.
Yeah.
So ties into that
cyberbullying, and the worst thing was, I think that was the case where the cyber bully wasn't even Canadian. He was from the Netherlands or something like that, and it just got around, and she tried to move, and it just followed her. And yeah, it's a sad situation. Yeah.
Yep. Well said, Daryl. Richard says, and I agree with him.
Yeah. Thank you.
Curtis, you're next.
Oh, I'm up. Okay. Well, we got almost to the end before I mentioned this artist, but now the time has come. Well, I can't not mention Bob Marley. In the way
Shocking. It's like me mentioning that Canadian band that no one wants to hear about.
Right. I mean, with reggae, I mean, the whole genre, I mean, is an act of political. And many of the songs are an act of kind of political, a political act, right? So the one off here is "Get Up, Stand Up," kind of anthemic of a protest song, talking about the little guy and standing up for what's right and the oppressed. I think it was so. This was the Wailers' last album as a trio, Bob, Bunny, and Peter. And shortly after, Peter releases this album, Equal Rights, which is in itself an album comprised of all songs that are political in nature. Peter was probably the most political of the Wailers. So it opens with Get Up, Stand Up. That's why I'm showing it again here. But it also has songs like Down Presser Man, Stepping Razors, a great track, the title track, Equal Rights, Apartheid, about apartheid in South Africa. So really, really political album. My favorite Peter Tosh album, actually. And then that same year, maybe it was the year after, Bunny released a solo album called Protest, which of course is a protest album. And the opening track on this, the second track on this is Get Up, Stand Up. But it also has songs like Johnny Too Bad, Quit Trying, Moses Children. So yeah, another protest album here from the Wailers. So all really great tracks that, not only talking about the system in place to keep people oppressed, but also how to, get above that system as well. So the Wailers.
So definitely another guy that put his money where his mouth was and his life where his mouth was. I just watched One Love like a couple nights ago, and I'm not sure if you've seen it or not.
I have,
but not spoiler alert, but it starts off with the concert and then it ends with another concert, and then in between is the writing of Exodus and that whole album, and obviously everything on Exodus. That's obviously who I was going to talk about and knew you were going to talk about, so I wanted you to be able to. But again, and you're right, not every song, but a lot of them were. And then the ones that were not necessarily political were about just like, let's just get along, right?
Which is political in itself, isn't it?
Exactly. Exactly like one love, right? Like it's pretty friggin' easy, people, but yet nobody seems to be able to figure it out. So yeah, that's a great choice. I mean, that there's a few guys that instantly came to mind, and I talked about Bruce, but that it was 100% one that came to mind as soon as we started to talk about it. So, kind of along the same lines ish, and back to NWA, but in a different light. I'm going to do kind of a three for ish kind of. But first off is Sam Cooke, and you wouldn't necessarily think of Sam Cooke as political, and I don't remember the year, but A Change Is Gonna Come was a big song and was early 60s. Again, I should have looked at the data, and I'm not positive, but again, so much like Marvin's What's Going On, A Change Is Gonna Come was very popular at the time, was his way of trying to get out there, there was the blues guys, and they kind of stayed in their lane a little bit, and most stayed in their lane a little bit, but Sam Cooke put that out there, and lots of other great stuff. So that's one that's still, human rights, civil rights. And then next is not Fast Car, but talking about a revolution on here, and the rest of the album as well. But even Fast Car, because Fast Car is still like, let's get the hell out of here. It's almost becoming, they're almost playing it too much, the Luke Combs version. I don't know. I don't listen to the radio a lot, but we've got it on sometimes, and they're trying to kill it, unfortunately. But because Tracy always had a lovely version of it, and Luke does a nice job of it, but still. But again, Revolution on here. Just give that one a listen if you haven't listened to it for a while. And then I got a whole album of songs, and it's the Sun City album, obviously Against Apartheid. The single kind of, or not the hit, that's not the right way to put it, of course, was Sun City, how they weren't going to play Sun City. Sun City didn't want any black performers, but they took all the other white performers that they could, and eventually U2s of the world and everybody just said, no, we're just not going to play Sun City. But the rest of it on here, there's a lot of other great stuff as well. So it's United Artists Against Apartheid, and it's Sun City. And this, again, we talk about, this is from 1985. We talk about these same issues. They're not going away. It's just ridiculous. Now, obviously, apartheid is not as bad, I don't think. I can't really say as it was in 1985, but it's still a thing. And yeah, I depress myself a little. I get pissed off. I have a few different emotions when I start to talk about it. So, because everybody should just get to live their life. But anyway, that's my current three for. So
good one, man. Good one. Nothing in the comments. So we're gonna go around again. This was brought up in the comments earlier, and this is a song by a band that has a whole crap ton of socio-political songs. U2. I'm a huge U2 fan. Talk about them a lot. I own everything they ever put out. Really love U2. That said, sometimes Bono gets a little on my nerves. Like, I get he's trying to save the world, but sometimes he comes across as a little too preachy. And, sometimes you just want to go, Bono, I get that you've got a platform, maybe tone it down a little bit. Maybe I'm expressing my views, which is what we said we wouldn't do, so I apologize for that. Rewind, I didn't say that. There's a ton of U2 sort of protest songs, political songs. You've got like New Year's Day. There's tons. I'll think of 15 more when it's not my turn. But I mean, the one that popped into my head instantly is Sunday Bloody Sunday. I love the version off of Under a Blood Red Sky. The live version, I think, is vastly superior to the album version. But essentially what it was, and Daryl brought up the Troubles in Northern Ireland earlier. to make sure I have my facts right here, because I don't remember shit. The Bloody Sunday Massacre happened in 1972, and there was an incident in Derry where British troops shot and killed unarmed civil rights protesters. So I remember I did a video about this a while back, but there's so many videos I don't remember the specifics. But sort of the first, overtly, protest song, and even the song itself, that drum beat that starts it off is almost like a military march type song to get sort of get people riled up. But it's a great song, and hats off to you two for trying to raise awareness to a multitude of causes, being it the troubles in Ireland, or be it world hunger, poverty, or any of the many causes that Bono talks about. So there you go. Daryl.
Yeah. So once again, a great segue. You were talking about raising awareness. I couldn't do this list without talking about raising awareness in Africa in the 1980s. Big political movement, big political statement. I have two of the three. The one I'm missing is the British one. I will get the Band-Aid one someday. But I have the USA for Africa, We Are the World on 45. And then I have the Northern Lights, Tears Are Not Enough. I remember when MTV, I was little. I think I was like 4 years old when MTV came out. But I remember that whole concert, or not the concert, but just like everything about Ethiopia and all the advertisements and all the videos that were on TV. I remember it specifically like it was yesterday when I was only, like I said, I was only 4 or 5 years old. To be able to stack up Kim Carnes, Ray Charles, Bob Dylan, Hall & Oates, Michael Jackson, Randy Jackson, Al Jarreau, Billy Joel. You name it on that We Are the World. To raise awareness and make millions of dollars that hopefully went to the right hands and did go to Africa for the drought and the poverty. And if we look at, I know that for a lot of people, the Canadian one is the weakest of the three. I think it's fantastic. It's my favorite, but maybe it's just because of being in Canada. I think Bryan Adams does a stellar job on there. Even John Candy, and who else is on here? Gordon Lightfoot, some big name Canadians. So I guess anytime that you can make awareness for a major topic, unfortunately, poverty and starvation in Africa is still rampant and going today, but they tried their best to do what they felt was right to make a step forward.
Good choices.
Yeah.
I think I've got the Band-Aid one. And yeah, it was one of those that got looked down on by a few. Oh, it's just a bunch of superstars getting together. But they never took a dime from any of that. That was all for the right reasons, for the causes, and everything that it should have been for. So yeah, good call.
Mm-hmm.
Good call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, guys, I had to step away there for a minute. I apologize. Wasn't trying to be rude.
No
Good
problem.
picks, though, Daryl. I was wondering if someone was going to bring up either one of those three. So good one. Curtis.
Myself, yeah. All right. Well, kind of along the same line as the music for a cause. I didn't know this at the time. This album here, Stevie Wonder's "Hotter Than July." It's not, the whole album isn't for a cause, but the last track, "Happy Birthday." Happy birthday to you, happy. That song. Unbeknownst to me, that was written as a what would you call it? A promotion. Where's the poster? The poster isn't inside. Oh, maybe it's inside here. Oh, there it is. It's in the sleeve. For Martin Luther King. It was the campaign to get Martin Luther King's birthday recognized as a holiday. and he wrote that along with Martin Luther King's. I don't know if it was his daughter or I can't remember, his family members anyway. To promote that, I quite like the album. It's not my favorite Stevie album, but it was kind of his ode to, speaking of reggae, his kind of reggae influenced. He's got what's that song on here as well, Master Blaster, and so this is after his time with Bob. He spent a little time with Bob Marley in Jamaica and so forth in '75. So yeah, so I didn't know that was the cause for Happy Birthday. I knew the song for many years, didn't know it was for Martin Luther King till I got the album and found the poster inside. And I was, oh, would you look at this? So, yeah.
Cool.
Very good. Joe.
Yeah. What do we got? Yeah, we probably got 2 rounds to go, eh? So I'm going to go with another guy that falls into the category of lots of songs, both for causes, political reasons, gun violence or anti-gun violence. Of course, what I mean by that. And that's my buddy Steve Earle. This is the which one is this? Yeah, the Ghosts of West Virginia. So this is a lot of for the coal miners. Heaven ain't going nowhere. Union, God, and country. Put the devil put the coal in the ground. So it's probably one of the more political-ish, cause-ish ones for Steve. But you think back to The Devil's Right Hand, where that's I think when he wrote it, it was already an anti-gun anthem. Although, again, depends how you want to look at it, because the gun side takes it as an anthem for them, and then the anti-gun side also takes it as an anthem for them. So Steve's just got a lot of that. Now there's albums where he's just talking, where he's singing Tom Van Zant's songs and things like that as well. But Steve can get a little political and get out there a little bit. So I thought I would include him, not specifically any song, but a bunch of Steve Earle songs. So I thought he fit the category.
I would agree. All right. Let's see here. A few comments. Good choice. Curtis Marley and reggae music in general was great at delivering political views. Yes. Billie Holiday, Strange Fruit. Bono, just a little. He's never done. Just a little. Yeah. It's a good album, though. Agreed. They were called the Northern Lights. Yeah, I've shown that album a couple times. It's kind of a who's who of Canadian music. My copies beat all the shit, but I paid $1 for it, and I don't want to pay any more than $1 for it. So I don't know about Kurt. I don't know about Daryl, but I've never listened to it. I mean, I've heard the song on the radio, but I don't know that I've ever spun that record. Have you?
I've spun mine once. I was saying while you were away that actually, I know there was a lot of hate for that particular one. It's actually my favorite version. Maybe it's just because I'm Canadian and I just like it. But I know that a lot of people don't like that version. They think that there's a debate, right? I mean, if you want the Christmas version, obviously you go with Band-Aid. And then if you want the powerful one that's known for is USA for Africa. But yeah.
Play me something. Finally have some free time on a Wednesday night to tune in. Well, welcome for tuning in. We're talking about songs that are socio-political in inspiration. And I think we're doing a good job of keeping our political views out of it for the most part.
For the most part, I think.
Which is good. Okay, it's my turn. And I think Joe's probably going to chime in on this too, but I can't wait any longer because I might have to pull one more record after this. So
we could do it. We could do it together because it's the last one for me too. I see it sitting there, but you go ahead. I got some more.
All right. Let's. I'll talk about it, and then you talk about it, or we'll talk about it together because we're probably going to show exactly the same record. Green Day's "American Idiot," of course. So I don't need to be large then if Joe and I are both going to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So this came out in what, 90, I don't know, 90, 2000, I guess. I don't know. Late 90s, whatever, early 2000. This was their essentially George Bush, protest album, I guess, is simply put. I don't want to be an American idiot. He's not. It's about them sort of not agreeing with the Bush agenda, which some would argue there were ulterior motives behind Bush's reinvasion of Iraq. There were no WMDs, so was it oil related? Was it Halliburton related? Was it finishing his father's work? I'm not commenting on it. So it's kind of Green Day's take on that, and one hell of an album, biggest, most successful album. What do you want to say about it, Joe? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you've summed it up well. Holiday is another song that is a very poppy song about not a very good topic. The only one that I can think that is a lot more poppy about a not a very good topic is like an Everclear Wonderful, right? Like, yeah, one of the most pop songs ever about a horrible subject, and I think that Holiday falls into that as well. Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Same with Names by the Goo Goo Dolls. That's it's a poppy song about something that very morbid.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it is. Is it safe to say this is this generation's? I think it's safe to say it's this generation's, or that this album and Green Day at this time is this generation's, or whatever, Bob Dylan, right? Like, I mean, it's the more younger generation's Credence that you talked about earlier, right? And all of the songs that John Fogerty wrote and what he wrote, and obviously a Bob and things like that. So because there's not a lot of bands, and U2 still out there doing it, but there's not a lot of bands that really do put it all out there, right, that much anymore. And that's not fair to completely say, but and this is 20 years old as well, so that doesn't say a whole bunch. But Billy's still trying to say, Billy's still out there, and he's changed the lyrics to some songs to meet the current political environment when he's singing live and things like that now. So again, he's never shied away from talking about and being a political activist. Again, not everything is, because Dookie's not, but this is, and other things have been. Even 21st Century Breakdown had a bunch of stuff on it as well. So yeah, again, this album, there were certain artists that I thought of instantly, but this album is one that I thought of instantly as well when we started to discuss this topic. And I still love it. I still listen to it a lot. And I can go back and listen and can remember some of the stuff that was going on before that as well. So yeah, just a phenomenal album, and well said, I think, as well.
Three more thoughts on that comment. And first of all, the Habs beat the Leafs 1-0. It's the final. So
there you go.
But also, I find American Idiot interesting for a few reasons. I think its initial success was because it was kind of a protest album to the politics of the United States at that time. And I think that's what immediately made it successful. It captured the sentiment of a certain demographic that maybe didn't have a voice in politics at the time. That would have been, I think, a lot of kids my age, because I would have been about 18, 19. I wasn't American, so I didn't have any skin in the game. But, Americans my age back then and Daryl's age back then, I think, it was successful because it resonated and gave a certain demographic of voice. But I think the other thing that has made that album endearing beyond that, and endearing still 25 years later, is it's a fucking great album. Beyond the fact that that's what it sort of started out as, it's a concept album. It tells the story of a character going on this, sort of journey of self-awareness, I guess, or whatever. So it's a little more than just a collection of songs. There's a little more to it than that. And also had a 9-minute single, Jesus of Suburbia. What a fucking amazing song. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting album because I think it started out as one thing and then has sort of matured into something else, like a fine wine, I guess.
I think there's probably, and again, this is one of those things that who knows, but there's probably some kids that have never necessarily listened or thought about the lyrics that just love that just love that album because it is a very good pop punk album, which is what you just said. And they're just bopping along and I'm on holiday, and they have no idea what holiday means. So it kind of was the best of both for everybody. If you didn't give a shit and you just wanted to listen to a good pop punk album, it was that. Or if you cared about the deeper part of it, it was that as well. Or there was, those of us that took both aspects. And Jesus of Suburbia might be my favorite song that I have ever heard live. Ever, man. It was so fucking good. It was all 4 of those songs in a row. It was anyway, I don't need to get into Green Day was awesome again, but still.
There was a video about that, folks. Go over to whatever the hell, I don't know if it was on your channel or one of our streams, but Finer Richie, welcome, man. He says exactly what you're saying there. He goes, his wife's a big fan of American Idiot, but has no idea what the lyrics are about. So yeah, there's people that just listen to it for listening to it and don't necessarily connect the dots, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So
that's right.
Great album for a bunch of reasons, I think.
And it also got us Canadian Idiot by Weird Al, which is a pretty damn good song too.
True.
I like Weird Al. Yeah.
Billy Joe now considers himself an honorary Canadian because his daughter-in-law is from Toronto. He said that in an interview on the CBC not too long ago. So Play Me Something says, I do think American Idiot is really carried by the big hits. The deeper cuts definitely drop off. I don't know about that. Maybe. Yeah. I might be biased because I love the album so much and I've heard it a bazillion times. So I don't know. Probably their second best behind Dookie. Wow, that's a hot take. All right. We need some Concert Buddy oven mitts for that. Dookie's awesome, but I don't know. I'm going to put American Idiot first. Look who's here. I don't know this guy, Americana Sam. I used to know a guy named Sam St. John, but looks like this Americana Sam stole his logo.
He did.
How you doing? How you doing, Sam? Good to see you, man. So that makes it Daryl's turn, I guess. Yes, it does.
All right. So my question is this the last one, or do I got one more round after this?
Let's make this the last one. You can do a twofer.
Okay. I will do a threefer.
Because I'm out and Joe's out, so
I'll do.
Oh no, I got a couple more.
Oh, Joe's got more. Then we can do another round if you want. Whatever, it's all good.
Okay, so one round after this, then.
Sure. I'll pull another one while someone's talking.
Okay, so my mom's favorite song of all time. I remember her playing this all the time. 1969. These two guys, one hit wonder, recorded a song. About what the hell is going to happen with humanity by the year 2525. Wouldn't call it a protest song, but Zager and Evans, 2525 Exodus Terminus. I mean, the reality is, it's a mock on society that almost robots are better than we are. How stupid do we have to be? The things that we're doing. We're just going to ruin ourselves, right? So, and I mean, it's written and it's performed in 1969, tail end of the Vietnam War. But I mean, Nixon is still in power. There's all kinds of just cultural, political stuff going on rampant in North America, the United States at that time, and it's kind of a shot. I wouldn't say in the Green Day way, but almost like a shot against society in general about how stupid we really are. And I think it fits this theme really well. I mean, it doesn't go towards that political stuff or anything like that, but it's definitely we as humans are destroying ourselves. Yeah.
And a damn catchy song. I will always listen to that one. I enjoy that one. Not on a daily basis, but man, when it comes on like once or twice a year, it's like, oh, that's a good song. I love that song. And I have that album too. It's good. I don't know about anything else, but that song is really good.
Yeah, there's some weird other songs on there. I mean, the one that follows it is called Fred, and it's just weird music. You know, I wouldn't call it psychedelic music, but it's that, I don't know, it's just weird stuff. But good, catchy, different.
All right, Curtis.
All right. I'm going to try my hand at some rapid fire here because I got stacks of records and CDs around me. So
I knew you would, man. So when I knew we were doing this, I'm like, Curtis has got to be the guy for this episode.
All right. So this one's going to be a little bit controversial. I like to bring a little controversy from time to time. So nothing controversial but the songs. Songs, actually, many of her songs are really, really great. So the song I'm thinking of is Universal Soldier. By Buffy St. Marie. Some Canadian connections here, or well, we thought there were anyway. So her, where do I go here? So she writes a lot of songs about the Indigenous experience and so forth. And there was a documentary that came out recently that really threw some questions on her Indigenous identity through that. Wow.
Yeah, the socio-political singer gets caught in a socio-political situation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's an interesting one. And I think you could say lots about that. I'm just going to shoot through some of my war flick ones here. We talked about Bob Dylan a little bit. Bob Dylan was once asked what the best protest song ever written was, and he said this here by Jimmy Cliff, Vietnam. Great song, talks about the experience of Vietnam. He gets a letter from Vietnam, comes home, and then of course he dies in Vietnam and never makes it home. And one more for the war thing, the war theme. We'll go with a war movie soundtrack from Platoon. And we'll go the other side of the war argument. We'll go with Merle Haggard, the Okie from Muskogee. Yeah, so it's kind of during all these protest songs against the war and kind of anti-American war sentiment. This is kind of a good old boys. Hey, I don't know how I'd characterize it, but America's still got some pride left, I guess, you'd say. So there's a little rapid fire of war-related songs.
Little Bakersfield sound. I like Merle Haggard, actually. I don't mind Merle every once in a while. It's pretty good. So
yeah.
All right. We're going twice. So yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go with Bikini Kill. Women's rights. And that gets brought up by a lot of women. I know that's a really ridiculous comment, but really there are a lot of politically motivated female singers. I think obviously there's lots of male as well, but this is, I think this is their debut, and they really wanted to get it out there as far as women's rights. And you know what, we're as good, and we should be paid the same, and we should be doing all the same things. And again, and unfortunately, much like the theme, not of just suck it, Toronto. I didn't see that you changed it. Yeah,
I don't know how that happened.
I just didn't see it till now. But with all of that said, it's just another thing that is not changing. Like, how the fuck are we in 2024 and women's rights are not changing? Again, we're not getting into political views, so I'm stopping there. But how the hell does that happen? I don't understand it. But anyway, Bikini Kill, and lots of other female performers and artists. That's just the one that I happen to pick. So there you go.
Fair. Richie's going to go watch the Dodgers. See you, Rich. Thanks for watching, man. All right, we'll go around one more time because everyone says they've got one more. So I got one more that I can do here. An album that is great, that has hands down, and Joe will agree with me on this probably, the worst album artwork of all time. Red Rider, As Far as Siam. like just the shittiest album cover. Whatever morons signed off on this cover, I hope they lost their job. I mean, it's brutal. But Red Rider, obviously fronted by Tom Cochrane, legend. I'm going to see him on Saturday, and I have VIP meet and greet tickets. So there's gonna be a little video about Tom Cochrane on my channel later. But anyway, song I want to talk about, Lunatic Fringe. I think one of his, maybe other than Life is a Highway, probably the biggest Tom Cochrane song. And I'm going to quote Tom Cochrane himself on this. Bear with me. Tom Cochrane says of said song, I'm paraphrasing, but it goes something like this. A series of events inspired this song. I was going out with a Jewish girl at the time, and I was disturbed by anti-Semitic bombings in Paris, by the lunacy of revisionist historians, by various neo-Nazi groups gaining strength in Canada, and by a book I had read about Raoul Wallenberg, a Swedish diplomat who, like Schindler, helped thousands of Jews escape Europe during World War II. My manager at the time told me there was no place for lyrics like these in this disposable pop world, and I was almost ready to cave in and accept this as a given. But the night we recorded the demo of Lunatic Fringe, Fraser Hill, the engineer, told me over the studio monitor that John Lennon was dead. Man, that hit me hard, as it did so many people. Lennon had always spoken his mind and always tried to write the truth, and always went about his work with integrity. As I thought, for better or worse, I would try to use his example as a touchstone for my own writing. The irony is that Lunatic Fringe went on to become one of my most successful and enduring songs. So he wrote it about growing anti-Semitism in the, late 70s, early 80s, 1981. Yeah. And he was inspired to release it because of John Lennon's assassination. So, Lunatic Fringe by Red Rider. The worst album cover ever, as Music Sanctuary agrees with me. So
I was listening. Yeah, you're right. So now we know both where I was and where Tom Cochrane was the night that John Lennon got shot. Things we learned.
I'm willing to bet that I was at home in bed because I was 1 month shy of 2 years old. So
yeah, you would have been in bed at that point. Yeah,
I was probably in a crib or something at that point. So.
Yeah.
All right, Daryl, last one.
All right, last one. I'm going to do a twofer. So the first one you just talked about, John Lennon's assassination. This next artist, 1960s. This is all about assassinations of famous people. I'm sure that he would have put the other two in here at the time. This is not on this album, this Greatest Hits, but I got to go with Dion, Abraham, Martin, and John. Just this idea that they had just lost JFK. There is a line at the end about, what is it, Robert Kennedy, I think it is. I mean, he talks about Martin Luther King and, of course, Abraham Lincoln. And at that point, when he wrote that song, I mean, a lot of people forget that there was two other U.S. presidents, James Garfield and William McKinley, that were also assassinated. Yep. And then you look into modern history. I mean, I'm not saying we're not starting political, whatever it is, but I mean, people are still trying to assassinate the U.S. president, right? Or at least a candidate. Regardless of what your point of view might be, it doesn't make it any more okay. I mean, in my history class, I teach grade 10 history. I mean, we just finished World War I. Assassination started the whole thing. And look at other parts of the world where assassinations happen. It's not good. I mean, I get it, but that song kind of puts it all into perspective, I think, at least from what was going on in the 60s. And then my last choice is, I'm going to go with Gowan, the Strange Animal album, and the song A Criminal Mind, which really is about just the struggle of being a prisoner, especially when you get released. And there's just no, like, the recidivism rates in Canada and the United States are so ridiculously high that you might as well, if you go to prison even for a year because you committed some small crime, I mean, you're going to come out and your life is half ruined. I'm just trying to find the line here in the song. Yeah, so the line the lyrics go, before you hand me over, before you read my sentence, I'd like to say a few words here in my own defense. Some people struggle daily, they struggle with their conscience till the end. I have no guilt to haunt me, I have no wrong intent. So I mean, this idea that everybody that goes to prison's a bad person is not necessarily the case, but when they come out, it's like everything we've talked about. It kind of comes full circle. You talk about soldiers coming back; they're just changed, different people, and I don't think that we have enough programs. At least, I think that's what Gowan's trying to get here. Is there just isn't any programs to help people that come out of the prison system. It's a great song, my favorite song by him, and so I think it's a good way to end my session.
Very fair. Very fair. Curtis.
All right. Okay, I'm going to end it with this guy here, Michael Franti, who is a, say, kind of hip-hop reggae influenced artist with a lot of social commentary on his music. This one is called Everyone Deserves Music, which is a song I'm going to talk about. I could talk about Bomb the World. He says there's a line in there, you can bomb the world to pieces, but you can't bomb it into peace. Great line.
Ooh, that's a great line.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's got a lot of the kind of music on here, but the one I think my closer was going to be Everyone Deserves Music. I'll just quote from the song here a bit, if I can read it. My eyes aren't what they used to be. Papa never was much of a rolling stone. See, he just liked to sit and drink alone. Mama always tried to do the best she could. She would work all day and come home to cook. We all vain, we all strain, we all drain, we all love to complain, but nobody wants to seem to get along. You see, we got shame, we got pain, we got blame, we all a little insane. So that's why I sing this song, because everyone deserves sweet music. I think I like that because it speaks to the healing power of music, the power of music to get your message out, which I think is a lot of what we're talking about here today. So, Michael Franti.
Love it. Last but not least, Joe.
Sure. Twofer, just because, as I always say, if you pull them, you show them, right? So we'll start with one that is a bigger topic now than maybe it used to be, or at the time. And I think David Byrne has always been a little political, or at least activist for sure. Not necessarily political, but activist. But the song is geez, come on, Joe, think about it, man. Coming Up Flowers, Everything But Flowers, Nothing But Flowers. Jesus, spit it out, dude. Nothing but flowers. So all the things that are going on, and it's one of those that's ironic because it is not flowers, just because of how we're treating the world. So that's one. And then I thought about going and pulling this guy out last week when we were talking about solo artists, and I didn't go over there and do it, but that's where I just went because I thought of Showdown at Big Sky by Robbie Robertson. Along with that, there's other indigenous songs, for the cause. Robbie Robertson, an indigenous man. So Showdown at Big Sky is one for sure on this album, but the rest of this is really good. And as I said last week, he's got the Bodines on here, which is another really, really good band. And they've got some great songs as well about causes and the plight and things like that. So, again, I think we all listen to music at different times of the day, different times of our life, different times of a lot of different things going on. And sometimes I just want to hear Barbie Girl by Aqua because it's a fun song. And I mean that because I do, and I enjoy that song. And sometimes I want to hear people talk about, beds are burning and different rights and what's going on and things like that. So, hopefully we listen to these songs that we talked about this evening and try and make a difference. That's the difference. Is the pop songs will be the pop songs, but some of the songs we talked about this evening, and the artists that we talked about this evening, and the causes that we talked about this evening. I'm not out there marching and protesting and doing things like that, but I do try where I can. I think everybody should just be what they are and be able to live their life and do the things that they want to do. If they're not hurting anybody else, have at her, and away you go. So there, I didn't get political, but I kind of got a little political, or at least I let you know a little bit about how I feel. Bottom line is, don't be an asshole. That's all it comes down to. Something like that.
I'm going to show one more because I didn't do any that were political activism or causes, but Joe talking about Robbie Robertson and the natives, I forgot that I had this. So this puts a nice bow on everything. This is a CD from 1996 that if you can find it, grab it. It is more impossible to find than Bigfoot. But it is an album called Pine Ridge, an open letter to Alan Rock, songs for Leonard Peltier. So back then, Alan Rock was the federal minister of justice. And Leonard Peltier was a native. And if I get my details correct here, he was part of the American Indian movement. And he was convicted of first-degree murder, 2 counts, of the death of 2 FBI agents in 75 in South Dakota on an Indian reservation. I don't know all the specifics of the case, but it was a very controversial sentencing, and there was great debate as to whether he was actually guilty or not. And what this album is a collection of Canadian artists from the 90s, wanting to raise money for Leonard Peltier's defense fund, but also to get Alan Rock to sort of intervene on behalf of the Canadian government and to put some pressure on the American government to re-examine this case. And this is an incredible album. They're all covers and originals done by people like Sarah McLachlan, the Tragically Hip, let's see, the Sky Diggers, Molly Johnson, Jim and Greg from Blue Rodeo, Michelle McAdory. There's a whole list of people. It's an incredible album. If you can find it, it's like gold. These are just not, they're virtually impossible to find now, but a fantastic album. And there I showed something that was something of an advocacy nature, which I hadn't done. So there we go. I don't want to see myself. There we go. I want to see you guys. There we go. Guys, that was fun. That was a great topic, Daryl. And we did it without injecting our own political views. So well done. Very Canadian of us. We all got along and,
For sure.
respecting each other's views. And,
Except that suck on that Toronto thing there. I don't know. That's just, that's not very nice. That's not
but
nice.
here's the thing. It's hockey, man. It's hockey. All's fair in love, war, and hockey.
Yeah.
And listen, I said to you before, I'm not one of these throw it in your face Montreal fans, and I'm not. And I only put that on there just to get your goat, because I'm so not like that. When I see my buddy at school tomorrow and we drop my son off at school and he's going to be, oh, your Habs won, I'm going to go, yep, they did. And I'm not gonna pour any salt in the wound or anything. I'll wear the hat, but that'll be it. So, it's all good. We'll do as we always do. We'll go around the horn and just if there's anything you want to plug on your channel, anything you want to talk about, anything you did, anything you got coming up, you guys know the drill. Curtis, since you are our guest of honor this week, you have the floor first, my friend.
All right. Nothing much coming up on the channel. I'm going to do. I've done a bit of thrifting lately, so I'll do a show showing off some of my thrift finds and dollar finds. Some decent albums, actually, Joe. I got you to thank for a couple of them. You were singing their praises, and I saw them in the dollar bin, and I've been enjoying them. So, stay tuned for that, I suppose.
That's good.
Daryl, what about you?
Not too much. I'm still working on my Weird Words video that I was talking about last week. I posted a poll or whatever those things are. I'm trying to figure out how to get used to using them anyway. So if anybody's, those of you that are still watching, if you want to check out the poll, if you got any ideas for a weird word that you've heard in a song. There was somebody that just wrote supercalifragilisticexpialidocious from Mary Poppins. That's amazing. So I'm gonna and Pompatus is gonna show up on my list. I don't want to spoil it, but Pompatus is gonna show up as a non-existing word. So there. Yeah, my father-in-law is coming up on Friday's train. I have next week off because we get a weird, like a hunt break here for our students. So I'll be celebrating the Thanksgiving weekend and have the week off. So hopefully I'll be able to make a few videos next week, but probably just my Sunday summary thing on Sunday and hopefully the word one, but we'll see.
Cool. Joe, how's things at On a Vinyl?
Good, busy, steady. Actually, it's been good, and there's been some more people coming in and buying new turntables and cartridges and stuff like that. So that's cool. I actually did a video today, not related to the store, but kind of related to the store. I still plug it, but Halloween albums. I know it's early, but I was playing with my Halloween lights today, so I put together one, and it's just here's my 13 Halloween albums or Halloween themed albums. What are yours? So I put that up on the page as well, because most of the time the videos have just been here's some new stock and things like that. So I wanted to throw something a little different up, and I did it from home instead of at the store. So yeah, that gonna go see the Dead South on Friday, and Jim Cuddy's coming here in a little bit. So I think I'm gonna go to that as well, and just counting down the days to Bruce Springsteen. I get up every morning and I put a big X on the calendar. So
good. Well, go see Jim. I mean, like, listen, I've seen him a million times. The show was great. It was fantastic. He played some stuff I'd never heard him play before. Played a lot of stuff off the new album, and the new album's really good. So
good.
You won't be disappointed, I don't think.
Yeah. I think Joe and I'll go to that, and looking forward to the Dead South too. So that'll be cool.
Very cool. As for me, well, the video I mentioned at the beginning, we did a Canadians talking about Canadian music, episode 4. All of us were on it, and we also had Brian and Glenn were joining us. So that was up on my channel. That's a lengthy hour and a half long discussion about Canadian music post 2000. So that was a lot of fun. And next week, episode 2 that we did about a month ago on Canadians talking about Canadian music will be up on the Vinyl Community Podcast. Check that out wherever you get your podcasts from. Other than that, I don't know what this week's video is going to be yet. I better figure it out because tomorrow's Thursday and I film videos on Friday. So I better figure something out in the next day or two pretty quickly, but don't know what it's going to be. But yeah, that's everything that's going on. So to all the people that are still watching, all the people that are going to watch this on repeat later, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending a couple hours with us. Curtis, thank you for being our guest this week. I already have next week's guests lined up. It's going to be a first-time guest on our little show. I'll tell you guys who it is later, but we'll leave everyone in the comments guessing. I'm kind of excited about it. It'll be a fresh perspective, which I think will be a lot of fun. So, Joe, Daryl, a pleasure as always. Curtis, thank you. And we'll see everybody next week.
Don't be an asshole.
By the way, happy Thanksgiving because it's
assholes.
Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend.
Yes.
Our American friends are going, what the hell are you talking about? Our Thanksgiving is on Sunday. So happy Thanksgiving, fellas.
Happy
I got my
Thanksgiving.
turkey. I got my turkey pants ready to go.
Me too. We have plans, but my wife's sick, so we might be staying home, which I'm okay with too. So it's all good. So, all right, everybody. Catch you next week. Have a good one.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right.